First thing what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the hors d'oeuvre, which is an escargot, kind of like a variation of a bourguignon, which is a French dish or a French hors d'oeuvre. It's snails and red wine, a little bit of bacon and some onions. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling with that. What we need first off is we're going to go ahead and get a pan preheated. And we've got some great little snails here, which if you can see, this is called escargot. It's a little snail. We do have some here at the store that are American and French. What you do is you take the snail. It comes in a can in a brine. What you do is you want to strain that out like in a pasta strainer and run cold water under it for a couple of minutes just to get that briny off. And then you come to the cutting board and you want to cut it straight in half like that. I got some grapeseed oil here. We're going to put a good amount because you're almost kind of pan frying this. You want to get that pan super hot. And we've got our snails here. What we're going to do is we're just going to make sure you don't burn yourself. We're going to get a nice layer down. And you hear that sizzle, like I always say, that's good. That's what you want because that's starting that sear, that caramelization process. They might pop a little bit on you, but just leave it alone. All right, so while those start searing, we're going to take some bacon, whatever bacon you like. Right here what I have is a little apple smoked bacon made by Peterson's, which I think I've used before. It's a really good uncured bacon. We're going to have that ready right there. So, we see our snails searing up, getting a little flavor, getting a nice little brown color. And go add a little salt, little pepper. We're going to let that go for a couple minutes just to really develop that flavor. While we're letting that sear, what I have here is I have some shallots. I have some dried bay leaves. I've got red wine. And I have chicken stock. That's basically all you need. What you do is you throw all those ingredients in there, or actually you throw your bacon in there, your onions in there, and your bay leaves in there. Saute that up, get some color. You deglaze with your two liquids. Let that reduce down, then we'll mound a little butter in there. It's very, very, very simple. And man, for an hors d'oeuvre, all you need to do is make a little toast, which we're going to put some toast together. Throw that on some toast, pass it around. We're going to show you a way to make it look nice and sexy. You're going to look like a trained professional, like I always say. Or you can do this for dinner, throw some pasta in there, you're ready to rock and roll. All right, now that we've got our little sear here, we're going to go ahead and add our bacon. Of course, that'll break up as the heat hits it. And we're going to add our shallots. Now we're just going to let that saute off to still just keep continuing developing that flavor. We can go ahead and add our bay leaves. And it doesn't hurt to go ahead and add that bay leaf before you add your liquid so you can kind of bring out and kind of bring the oils out of the bay leaf before you hit it with liquid. And it might also give it a little bit of toastiness to it. Do a touch more seasoning. Once that's nice and hot, we got our red wine here. Whatever red wine you have at home that you drink inexpensive, that works perfectly. If you've got a box of red wine that you buy inexpensive for cooking, works perfect. The only thing I would stay away from is don't use your flavored wines like Marsala and stuff like that. You know, I've done this many times where I use majority red wine, but I had a touch of port, and I added a touch of port to it because that residual sugar really makes it nice. The reason I do chicken stock is most of your flavor comes from the red wine, but I do chicken stock maybe to add a little more flavor, but more importantly, when I go to mound my butter in, the protein in the chicken stock is going to help that butter stay emulsified so you get that really nice, rich, velvety flavor. Here's our escargot that we got reduced exactly where we want it. While we finish the escargot, we're going to go ahead and make some fun little toast points. What we have here is a baguette that here at Fresh we bake off fresh daily, and they've actually got a nice little slicer that they'll slice for you. All right, so what we have is a little bit of butter here that we just melted. We're going to touch each one of them. If you have a brush, works just as good. The reason I'm using butter on this and not olive oil is because this is a real hearty, substantial little hors d'oeuvre, and the butter is a really nice little component to the snails and the red wine and stuff. But if you want to use olive oil, that's fine. So now we've got a little bit of butter on all these. We're going to fresh cracked pepper, kosher salt, And then we're going to go in the oven. This is a pound of butter that I cube up and I keep in the freezer. Keep it in the freezer is a very important thing because when you add this to hot, you're trying to create a really good balance of temperature, so it creates or establishes a really good emulsification. So I got cubes. I cut it in cubes. That's really the only tricky part to this, is establishing or creating, whatever you want to call it, that emulsification, because that's what gives you that good, real rich, velvety texture, not a greasy texture. So we're just going to keep mixing in that butter, which that's actually looking pretty good right there. So if you are trying to be health conscious, which I know we're not, because holiday season is when, what do you call it? You go on a bender of great rich food, right? But even if you are trying to be somewhat heart smart, think about that. That's not even a half a pound of butter. And this is enough hors d'oeuvres to probably do 45, 50 hors d'oeuvres. I always keep fresh cracked pepper that I grind in my spice grinder next to me, because I love the pepperness or the peppery flavor that brings to the table. So there we go. And then fresh thyme goes with this really well. You don't have to use an herb, but I like using some kind of nice little savory herb to complement this. All right, let's hit the plate. So we've got our great little crostinis. We've got our escargot with butter, fresh herb. And you'll see that these crostinis coming together, this has a really good rustic, homemade look. Really great to impress the people coming over for a party. So let's pile it on there because people are coming in and they're ready for something nice to nibble on. All right, now let's go. So what you want to make sure you do, don't want to waste it. You want to make sure that each piece of bread gets a snail, and there's some bacon on there. And then we'll come back and put a little sauce on there. Make sure it's nice and plentiful because you want everybody to enjoy this. I hope you're ready to blow people's minds. Hopefully you don't want them to leave anytime soon because they're probably going to stay all night for this. And then, of course, a little chive on there. We definitely want to make sure it's good. So we got our toast, we got our snails. If you have any questions, just get in touch with us.